one of the reasons why I've been able to have so much success in my life is because I've went through a process of self-reflection. I have no problem looking inward and saying, yo, you need to correct this. She's coming to you about this, or she's acting a certain way for a reason. What is that reason? Mm-hmm. And if it's something in my control where I know that the behaviors I'm doing doesn't really suit what I'm trying to build with you, I have no problem letting that go.
What's up, real ones? Welcome back to the Real Relationship Podcast, where we're bringing the real back to relationships.
Yes, sir.
I'm Asha Steele.
I'm Devin Steele.
And we're so excited that you guys are tuning in today.
Yeah, we got another great episode for y'all. But before we get into it, yeah, of course, as always. But before we get into it, let's catch up real quick, because we've been, gone for a little bit. They might not know what's been going on in our lives. So yeah, let's catch up. What's going on with you, Asha?
I am gearing up, okay? Gearing up for the school year, okay? It's been a long, eventful summer, okay? We got to go a few places this summer. We kept Aria here at home for the summer instead of putting her through the summer program at her school. So that's been a whirlwind. Yeah. But it's been good, We got to be a little bit more hands-on. I got to teach her some things.
Did you ever share why you decided to go that route where she was home for the summer instead of going to school? Did you ever share with them why?
I don't know. But to share now, you guys, I think, to be honest, it's a little nerve-wracking for me with her going into school and going to higher, grade levels, even though she's not in the grade yet. Just because she's around other kids and she's exposed to new things, new environments, new people. So it's very hard for me to really jump out of that mommy mode, that mama bear mode where I want to protect her from everything. And I wanted to really just take this time with her to be very intentional, because I know as she gets older and, kids are getting older, they're exposed to a lot more things. They're talking more, they seeing more, and it can easily influence your child. So I wanted to be a little bit more intentional with her with, instilling things in her, helping her learn new things, and just, like I said, be very intentional with this time, because I know the time is precious, and before we know it, she'll be off to kindergarten, first grade, and,
So how was that? Because, I'm completely different. I feel like you're more of like the helicopter parent. Like you want to hover over your children to protect them, to watch what's going on with them, where I'm more like, be free. Right. You know what I mean? But how is that going to be for you? Because right now, the way that the world's going, there is a heavy influence on children right now. Yeah. And a lot of the things they're being influenced by are not necessarily the things that we value as a family. So how do you deal with that moving forward, knowing that she's going to be exposed? One of the reasons why you wanted to be home is to have more time to instill more values and what you want her to learn before she goes out into that world, so that you feel like you've done everything you could to prepare her for that?
Yeah. It's hard. I think about it, but I feel like there's no way I can't really prepare her fully where I will feel comfortable with her going out there and to know what she's exposed to. Like you said, I do feel like at times, like I am the helicopter parent where I'm just like, I just want to protect her. I want to look over her. Like, I want to be looking at the class to see what she's doing. I just want to make sure that she's treated well, that she is treating others well as well, but, that she's just respected and she feels comfortable wherever she's at if she's away from us. Yeah. I think that's my biggest thing, is her not feeling comfortable or safe in an environment where we're not there to, protect her. Yeah. And I know it's something that I got to make adjustments to and, realize that that's just the way of the world. And as she gets older, I just feel like if we continue to instill certain values in them when they go out, that hopefully, they make the right decisions, or they're able to handle certain situations and they're prepared for it. So
have I done a better job of creating a space to allow you to do that? Because I know me, probably like most men, we have that, that carefree, like go out there, learn, interact with people, experience life, where some moms are, like you said, are helicopter moms, and we may put on to our wives like, hey man, don't worry about that. Like, be this way, be like me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I know that we may have had issues like that probably back with Aria, that we had conversations about And I try to, create that space to allow you to go through
right.
and try to empathize with how you're feeling. Do you feel like I have done a good job creating that space, or there's some things I still need to work on?
I mean, I feel like you've definitely improved for sure, because like you said, I felt like at a time it was me going into parenting. You had already been a parent. So I'm going into parenting. I'm trying to learn and navigate. And like you said, we have different parenting styles. So it's like I'm just getting adjusted. I'm trying to like coddle her. I'm nervous about things. And it's all the emotions that you get, well, most people get when you're a new parent, right? Yeah. Whereas like the second time around, which I noticed with Amaya, it's just like, oh, she good. Like, she good. Don't worry about it. We've been through this before. Yeah. So it is a difference, but I feel like I needed that. I needed to experience that for myself and learn for myself. And I think that from the conversation that we had, it's been a huge adjustment. The thing about it though, I feel like, and we had a conversation about this as well, like with Arya, she's just such like a personality kid, right? Like she has a huge personality. She wants to talk to everybody, and she's so friendly. And it's like, it's a good and a bad thing for me. Like when y'all had went out to the park in the library, and you had told me about her, being able to meet new friends and just going up to the table and talking to kids and introducing herself. And I saw her do that before one time, and I was just amazed by it, because me as a child, I would have never.
You as an adult, you would never.
I would never like this child. Go sit down at the table. Hey, how you doing? Like, no, like that's not my comfort zone. But I think it's so beautiful to watch her in that space where she feels comfortable with doing that. But like I said, I just feel like with that, it comes the good and the bad, right? Because you have to also make her aware that everyone's not welcoming, but not only not welcoming, everyone's not nice or, friendly.
I think she does a good job with that with adults. Like even when we're with her, if somebody be like, hey, pretty girl, hey, she'll just stare at them. Yeah. Until I be like, nah, you can say hi. Yeah. And then she'll say hi. And they may think it's rude, but for us, it's like, nah, I don't want my daughter just out here talking to any adult, because there's too much craziness going on. I want her to be alert about the things that are going on. I don't want her to be alert to the point where she's scared, but I want her to understand what are some of the consequences or the dangers that are out there, that we don't just socialize. We don't just talk to strangers, that, some crazy things can happen to you. But I think that when it comes to kids, she does a great job socializing. Like I said, when I took her to the library and she was walking up, I was kind of nervous because I never seen her in that setting. And when we go to dance class and stuff like that, like most of the kids, they're just running around, playing, having fun. But at the library, like you got to sit down at a table, and you don't have to talk to people, but you will hope that you will sit down and talk to the other kids that are around you. I thought she might have been a little bit nervous going into that situation, but when she sat down and was just like, hey, what's your name? Where your mom at? And then other kids will walk over, she'll be like, hey, what's up? What color you want? Yeah. I was like, all right. This makes me more comfortable with her transitioning to a new school, where I was kind of like, all right, she was used to this school before. I don't know if I want her to switch. Right. But the way that I saw her interacting with kids there, it makes me more confident that, okay, she is ready for it. And even the choices that me and you made about like switching up what she watches, switching up the music that she listens to. Yeah. I think that we're doing the best that we can to instill the right values in her. And you can see it making changes in her, because if something come on, she'd be like, nah, you can't watch that. Right. Or you can't listen to that. Or don't eat this. This is not healthy. Right. So like she's showing signs that, okay, we're doing the right thing, and we just got to be comfortable with controlling the controllables. Right. We only can do what we can do. Of course, if you're staying at a place for 8 hours, right? How long she be in school?
About 8, 6 to 8.
6 to 8 hours. Of course, that's going to have a heavy influence on her. But that just means that we have to be more intentional with the hours that are being spent in our home that she's not asleep. Yeah. So that we can counteract whatever is going on outside of our home. Right. But yeah. It's tough to be a parent out here nowadays, because it's the wild, wild west.
It's a lot.
You saw they're taking libraries out of schools now, right?
Why?
I don't know.
It makes me think about...
And then they don't even have teachers to fill all the spots here in Houston. They having non-certified people teaching students here in Houston.
You remember that movie that was with Michael B. Jordan when they were burning all the books and stuff?
Why does that sound familiar?
I don't remember what it's called. But that, what you said just now, that made me think of that. Like, why would you take the library out of schools? Now, granted, okay, you guys, I came across this book that I had DM'd to you. Mm-hmm. And it was something involved. It was like a children's book. And it had something to do with like swingers or something, right?
Yeah, that was wild.
And I just feel like, to be honest, some of the books that are allowed in schools or allowed in the library, period, is just completely inappropriate.
Man.
And seeing that, I was just like, oh no, this is just too much. Like, so I can understand certain books being in the library if you were to remove them, but removing the whole library, like, I'm not understanding that.
Was it Fahrenheit 451?
That I think so. It might be.
I think it was when they was burning the bush. Yeah, it's really wild out here. So for all the parents out there, we feel y'all pain. We going through it too.
It's hard.
And all we can do is the best that we can do. We got to educate ourselves. I think that's the importance of sitting down with your kids and talking to them about what they're learning in school. Mm-hmm. What conversations that they're having at school. Because then you get to learn what is being poured into your child. Right. If you're not taking out the time to actually have those conversations, man, somebody's programming your child's brain that can be completely different than the values you have. But if you are not being intentional about sitting down and having those conversations, you don't even know until it's too late.
Right.
So I think that we do a good job of doing that with our girls, and, hopefully that, we're able to raise them the right way to, be able to decipher between right and wrong, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what's new with you? What you got going on?
Man, I got a lot going on, but I'm not taking a lot going forward. I got a lot going on, but I'm not taking a lot going forward. What I mean by that, I'm down 20 pounds.
Okay, let's clap that up.
Yeah, clap that up.
Yes.
So I've been on a weight loss journey that I've been sharing a little bit on my Instagram. Mm-hmm. I started off at like 323. But I carry that well. So like some of y'all listen to this, you like 323, that's huge. Yeah. Like you fat as I don't know what. Pillsbury Doughboy, but no.
In a Snicker.
I had a gut. Trust me, I had one. But my playing weight and when I was playing football was like 305 to 310. So I can carry it. I'm used to carrying it, but I don't play ball no more. There's no reason for me to be this big anymore. Part of the reason that I was still carrying the weight is that I'm a stress eater. Mm. Like if I don't have something to do, like if I'm not able to work out and I'm going through a lot of stuff, one of the ways that I comfort myself is with food. Mm-hmm. And, with the injuries that I've had from football, like sometimes I'll be having months where I just can't do nothing. Like I really just want to sit in the bed all day because my back just be hurting that much. And when I can't use exercise as a way to relieve stress, I turn to food.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing a lot of the time in order to maintain this weight. But I've now surrounded myself with a team to try to help me with my pain management and get through some of the things that I'm going through so that I can get to my goal of weighing 225 pounds, which is a 100-pound weight loss journey, which is crazy. But I'm trying to do it the right way. I've taken everything that I've learned from, my graduate program in psychology and developed a plan that not only am I on, but, my wife saw my progress and was like, let me get on that too. So we've been putting in that work together. So I have that going on. And then I start back up school next month. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. School. You want to share with school?
I told him. Where you going? I told him before on other episodes that I was going to Wharton for the general management program.
Yes.
Because there's some things that I want to learn more about business so we can help take things to the next level. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited about this journey. To be honest, I feel like I'm mentally in a space where like I'm excited for it. Like I'm anxious. Like I'm.
Which journey are we talking about?
With the fitness journey.
Okay.
Like a lot of times before, like I would start the fitness journey and we were doing good. I feel like during the period where I was pregnant and we were working out, when I was pregnant with Arya and we were working out a lot.
Yeah.
I had that momentum. And then somewhere after that, it just completely went away. So now I feel like I'm in a space where I haven't been, where I'm excited to work out. I'm anxious to work out. I'm anxious to see the transformation I can make with just taking out the next 90 days and see, because we had it at a 90-day period right now, but of course it's a lifestyle change, right? So the goal is that after the 90 days that you still continue to make healthier habits and choices so that you can continue to lose the weight and continue to, live this healthy lifestyle.
I think that's what our problem was before. We were just trying to lose the weight. We weren't trying to actually make a shift in our lifestyle. Yeah. And that's why a lot of people have, they see that yo-yo weight where they lose the weight and then it bounces back really quickly, is because they haven't done it long enough, or they follow some type of fad diet that requires them to lose weight too fast and is not sustainable, or they're eating types of food or certain amounts of calories that's not really sustainable over a lifetime. So by dialing back now and not just taking all the foods that we like out of our diet, but just giving a certain portion, right? I think it's going to allow us to have way more success, because motivation only takes you so long. Anytime somebody starts something, like when we started the podcast, or when you start a new diet, you start a new job, you're extremely motivated. Right. But at a certain point, motivation wears out. And if you haven't given yourself time to build the right habits in order to do this over the long haul, you're going to fail at a lot of different stuff. And I think that right now we've done a great job of, building certain habits that allow us to make that lifestyle change.
Yeah. So moving right along to, was that your keeping it real? Or you got something to keep it real about?
Absolutely not. I have a keeping it real moment.
Oh, he want to keep it real.
This is dedicated to one of our, I won't even call him a real one because I don't know if he's a real one, but he's on our Facebook page. But there was somebody, I'm not going to, say their name, although, when we was having a back and forth, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to give you a special shout out on the podcast. You want to keep talking. But I'm not even going to take that approach, right? Because I feel like this podcast is about learning. And not everybody's going to be where you at. And you can't, same thing in a relationship, you can't look down on people with criticism and contempt because that won't open their heart for them to learn. So I'm not going to do that to people who may have negative things to say in the comment section, but we are going to unpack some things to really understand what may be causing people to have certain perspectives on some of the clips that, we put out there. So let's go over a clip real quick that we put out there that, been receiving a lot of positive comments, but there are some negative comments from some men. I think the majority of men agree with this clip, but there are some men out there that got some growing up to do. So let's play this clip really quick. There was a moment in time where I felt like you were difficult to deal with. But I would ask myself, like, why does she always want this from me? Why does she want that? Why does she complain about this? Until I had a certain shift in my perspective. And I want everybody listening to understand this, that things and people are only difficult when you don't know how they work. The moment I decided to become a student of you, the moment that I had the desire to understand and respect who you were at your core, you stop being difficult. When you understand your partner, you will start to operate in a different way because you understand their triggers. You understand why they respond to certain things in a certain way, so you start to handle them with more care. And when you take the time to really get to learn your partner in that way, man, your partner goes from being difficult to being a blessing. Now, when I watched that clip, I don't know, it's interesting to me how people can have a negative take on that clip. Because what I'm basically saying is that I took the time to get to learn you, who you are, what motivates you, what triggers you. Like, I became a student of you. And the moment that I did that, you stopped being difficult. So I don't see how somebody can take that the wrong way. But then again, I have done the internal work that allowed me to get to the place I am at right now. So I'm looking at it from my perspective rather than somebody who may not have gone through that work. But somebody had commented on the video and they said, this is called folding. F out of here. And I just find it interesting that he would take that approach when you're talking about marriage. as if this is like some type of beef that you have on the street or some type of competition where it's like, nah, I'm never going to fold. I don't care what we go through. I don't care what's going on. I'm not folding. I'm going to stand firm in what I believe or what I want. And there's really no relationship in life where you can just dig your heels into the ground and don't budge at all.
Right.
There takes compromise, especially in a marriage. So I don't really get that approach. And when I said that to him, when I said, you really shouldn't dig, I don't understand how you can dig your heels in the ground in any type of relationship. He said, who said anything about digging your heels in the ground? Well, it's like, well, if you look up folding, one of the definitions is staying firm in what you believe. That's called digging your heels in the ground. That's called not folding. And one of the things that I really sat back and I'm thinking to myself, like, why? Like, why? And I won't say most, because there was a certain amount of men in this clip who were saying the same thing. Like, nah, you changed roles. Like, you gave in to what you really wanted. And it was like, nah, I didn't give in to anything. I'm trying to build a long-lasting, healthy, and happy relationship with my wife. That requires me to take the time to understand her and get to know her better. And I see a lot of men, they have this mindset where it's like, I want to dominate. It's my way or the highway. Like, you got to get on my program or you got to get lost. And I've never had that mentality when it came to you. I don't care what my profession was. I don't care how much money I was making. I never wanted to dominate you or dominate my home.
Right.
And I feel like some men take that approach where my wife better respect. I'm going to demand respect from my wife. I want to dominate my households because you're not getting enough wins outside of your household. You're taking too many losses outside of your home. You feel like you're not respected at work. You feel like people don't appreciate you outside your home. So your one place, your home, your dwelling, you want to make sure you're respected. You want to demand respect. You want to dominate. You want to win as much as possible because you're not winning outside your home. I'm getting enough wins in life.
Yeah.
Where I don't need to come dominate you. I don't need to dominate my kids. I don't need to demand respect. How I show up in a household, how I show up in the world garners respect. I don't need to dominate. You my teammate. You're not my competition. So me and you work together. And if you're coming to me saying, hey, you can do this better, or you can work on this, because one of the beautiful things about being in a relationship with somebody you love and trust and somebody that loves you back and wants the best for you is they're able to see things about you that you don't necessarily see about yourself. Yeah. So it gives you certain insights to get better. But when you're stripping somebody of their voice, when you don't give them that safety where they can speak up and say, hey, this is bothering me, or hey, something's wrong, or you can do this better, you miss out on an opportunity to grow. Like, one of the reasons why I've been able to have so much success in my life is because I've went through a process of self-reflection. I have no problem looking inward and saying, yo, you need to correct this. She's coming to you about this, or she's acting a certain way for a reason. What is that reason? And if it's something in my control where I know that the behaviors I'm doing doesn't really suit what I'm trying to build with you, I have no problem letting that go. I have no problem saying I'm wrong because I let my ego go a long time ago. Some of y'all have way too much ego that you just can't let go. And there would be no relationship in life that you will be able to build that's healthy until you let go of your ego, until you stop demanding respect and you garner respect by the type of way that you carry yourself as a man. Yeah. But I know I wanted to take a different approach to this when I was talking to him initially, because we was going back and forth. But I was like, yo, I'm not even going to take that, because clearly he got some stuff that he need to work through. I already worked through my work through. But it's just crazy to me how certain men have that approach. Like, you really need to go out here and get more wins outside of your home, and you won't feel like you got to come home and dominate your own household. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take the approach that you didn't, okay? It's like, nah. But no, I think individuals like that, to me, to be honest, I feel like they were like in school receive like D's and F's, right?
Yeah.
Because to me, like, I think of it like, if you're in class, right, just say you in math class, and me, I'm like, when I was younger, even now, when I was going back to school, I was like, oh, I hate math, right? I can't stand math. Math is so hard. It's so difficult, this, that, and the third, right? But it was really me because I wasn't changing my perspective and being open to really learn the technique so that I can apply what I've learned to whatever I'm feeling like is difficult. Then you realize once you learn something and you apply it, it's like, oh, that wasn't difficult at all. I need to actually learn it. Like, we have to learn the people that we're with and not just be stuck in our own ways. And I feel like so many people do that, where they're just confined to their ways of thinking, how they handle things, how they maneuver in life. And then when you get with someone else and it's not what you feel like it should be or what you have been going through life with, it's now like, oh, this person is difficult. Oh, this is too hard. Or they're, you know, and like you said, you're just standing on that versus you being able to say, you know what, let me shift my perspective. Let me be willing to learn something new about a new person that I'm meeting. Or even if it's not a new person, just learn new behavior and new patterns so I can change my habits as well and be able to go through life. Like, I feel nothing is wrong with that. And I think people that are very stuck and confined in their ways, you settle for just mediocrity. Like, you're not willing to evolve, and not just in your relationship, in life, because anything in life, you're going to have to learn something new. You're going to be put in uncomfortable situations and positions so that you can grow through them. Yeah. And if you are not willing to grow through that, you're not willing to, you know, give up a little bit to get a little bit and have a better understanding of how you can change things, then you're just going to be stagnant. And hopefully, you know, like you said, you know, they ain't at that space now and they taking that journey, they taking that walk, but hopefully they do that, because once you do that, it will be so refreshing in the end.
You know what's interesting is that the reason why the my way or the highway doesn't work in relationships is because most of us wasn't taught the right way, especially when it comes to marriage. So you're trying to force somebody to do something your way that is not even the right way, and you've never taken the time to challenge your belief system. Because there were seeds put in, because your way is not even your way. You were programmed to think this way. And you never took the time to challenge the beliefs that were instilled in you to say, hold on, I know I saw my parents do it this way. I know I saw my dad do it this way, or I saw my mom do it this way. But let me sit back and really think, is this the right way? Is this the virtuous way to really go through things in life? Most of us don't go through that reflection. Like I said earlier, I went through that reflection. So I know the good values that were instilled in me, and I know the bad values that I had to rework or unlearn and put new ones in. The same thing when I was talking about earlier with Aria, is that we're trying to instill certain values in her, but as she gets older, I don't want her to be like, well, I believe this or I do this because my parents told me, because my mom told me, because my dad told me. It's like, no. As you get older, explore, challenge your beliefs, see what's real to you. A lot of times we don't like to challenge things that, you know, we honestly believe in because we don't want to prove ourselves wrong, but trying to dive deeper into our beliefs, into our values, will only help us gain more information into who we are at our core. And a lot of people don't like going through that reflective process, and it shows up in their relationships. Yeah,
that's so true. So hopefully, you know, like you said, that person, you just learn and grow. I feel like that's all it is to it. Just be able to learn and grow. And some of y'all need to just stop with the negativity on social media, okay?
It ain't never going to stop.
Let's just move with positivity. But until then, we just going to leave it at that, okay? But moving right along to our message from a real one, okay?
Let's get it.
So she says, hello, guys. So I'm wondering, when going into a relationship, what is the importance of knowing how many people you have been with sexually? Should that be the weight carried on your partner's shoulder or brought up anytime during an argument? Like, do men just go into a relationship needing to know your past relationships and sexual intimacy? Please tell me you have a session on this, or if not, can you help, please?
That's an interesting question. I want you to go first, but I want you to listen to a clip because I don't know if you saw it yet. But this has been a topic of conversation on social media as of lately. But I want you to hear what another man said about, because I think she said, do men care about the body count?
Yeah.
So I want you to listen to a perspective that I heard on social media.
Okay. Most dudes who on they square and pursuing their business and walking in and what they supposed to, them is not asking your body count.
So you saying body count doesn't matter to a real man?
Body count matters to dudes who not in the count.
Ooh. Oh Lord! No, we didn't.
This has been tonight's conversation.
That's what I'm saying. I've never met a man who's had the, and ladies, I'm not saying it's like y'all easy. I've never met a man who had the ability to actually be with the woman that he wanted. Because most dudes with the women they got access to, not the women they want. I don't know a lot of men who with the women they want, who be worried about who else she. I got money. I know the spots. I can take you wherever the rest of them niggas take you. I'm confident in what I got. I'm not worried about who else you with. Only a dude who not on his square is worried about community. I don't roll in the community.
There's the right ladies to dry yourselves up with.
Respectfully, I can say a Just Mike. I can say an Ace Metaphor. I'm looking at somebody that's nodding in the room. I don't even roll in the community that you was handing that out to. I don't. I'm not gonna run into the dudes that you with. The dudes who happy and want to point the finger like, oh, I f***ed her. That don't shop where I shop. He don't land where I land.
That's interesting, you know, and I had some points that I just want to, you know, address with that, because should I address them? Should I address them?
Address them. Because I'm interested, as a woman, I'm interested to hear your perspective on what he said. Because one of the things he said is that he can look into, he looked at the men on the stage and they were nodding their head, and he looked into the crowd and he see the men nodding their head. I ain't seen not one man as that camera was panning through the crowd. I saw a bunch of women. But I want to hear, like, if you're a woman in the crowd, what's your thoughts about what he just said?
Okay, so the first thing that stuck out to me is he said he's not worried about a man or whoever saying or consider it community. You know?
Yeah.
Why would you want the person that you're with to be considered community X, Y, and Z? Like,
no idea.
So that just doesn't make sense to me. And you're just openly like willing to, you know, go ahead and just, oh yeah, that's what I want. Like, what are we talking about here? So I feel like people just say stuff just to get a little, you know, a wow factor.
Yeah.
Like, let's be realistic.
It's called pandering.
Let's be realistic, because as a man or a woman, I feel like you should be very intentional with who you're choosing to be with and who you are choosing to give yourself to.
Right.
The problem is people that push a narrative where it's okay for you to have slept with a whole bunch of people. I still want you. I'm not worried about that. They worried about the wrong thing. No, you're not worried about the right thing. Yeah. Because I don't want, as a woman, to know that if I go out, my man done been with her, he done been with her, he done been with her. Like, you've been with everybody. Like, I don't want that.
Right.
And I feel like now, especially nowadays, a lot of people don't even look at their bodies as sacred, like a sacred temple. It's like, oh, you just giving yourself to everybody. And we talked about this on a previous podcast about just like the soul ties of you just connecting with people that you're sleeping with, and what it does to you, your spirit. Like, not even the fact that it does to your physical or your internal of you just sleeping with people and the sexually transmitted diseases and possibly having children and all of the other things that factor in, but your spirit is unsettled when you're constantly sleeping with this person and with that person, because now you're taking on things from them as well. And I think so many people don't even be intentional with that. So to sit up here and push the narrative of, oh, I'm not worried about that. Okay, cool. That's fine. That's your preference, okay? But let's not make it seem like the people that are looking for someone who is intentional with who they're sleeping with and who they're not sleeping with is a problem.
Man. And I don't know. I just find the clip interesting. Like, I don't know who the guy is. I don't know half these people that be on the internet, you know, saying the stuff that they say. But I've literally been getting money for a long time, since like 2011. And if he's saying that he shop at certain places and he land at certain airports or in certain countries and all this other stuff, I've been doing this since 2011. Mm-hmm. And the lies that he just told his women are crazy.
Wild.
Absolutely insane, bro.
He bamboozled.
To tell them that the amount of sex partners they have, real men, dudes who on a square don't care about. No, dudes who just want to have sex with you don't care.
Okay.
You're right. I think you needed to clarify that. Mm-hmm. Dudes who just want to have sex with you, who don't mind going out with you, being with you at the club, they don't care about your sexual history because they're just using you for fun. Mm-hmm. Your entertainment. But a guy who is looking for a wife to build a family with, he most definitely cares about your sexual history because, number one, he doesn't want somebody that a bunch of other dudes done had. Mm-hmm. Most men want a woman on their arms that a man wants but they can never touch.
Right.
That other men yearn for but they can never have. Mm-hmm. He don't want a woman that looks good, everybody wants, and a lot of people done already got. Right. Or already had. That's the truth behind this. You can say whether it's right or wrong. It doesn't even matter. It is what it is. This is what it is. You ain't going to be able to change the mindset of darn near all men. There are some men out there who don't care. Mm-hmm. But the exception doesn't disregard the rule. Like the rule is the rule. Mm-hmm. Because number one, the way that I look at a woman, if you just out here just allowing it's my body, my choice. Yes, it's your body, your choice, but there are consequences to your choice. Mm-hmm. It's my brain. I'm allowed to think the way that I want to. And I don't want a woman who's been around with a bunch of people because, number one, I'm going to question your values.
Right.
If you don't value your own body, if you look at sex just as being fun, again, when we talked about Arya putting certain values in her, I'm going to question, well, what other values were instilled with you or what values weren't? Mm-hmm. When it comes to building a family, the problem that I see, number one, is there's dudes out here lying to women for business so that women take this certain thought process into relationships, so they go out here and just do whatever they want to do and then wonder why nobody wants to be with them. But I don't even forget. I forget what I was just about to say. Don't, because I'm just so blown away about what he said. Oh, I can't even remember what I was about to say.
I'm gonna just chime in for a second because my thing with that is I feel like there's men like that where it's very much like a double standard, right? Because it's men that expect for a woman to be able to do all these things sexually, right? In the bedroom. You know, they want they want you to be a porn star in a sense, right? But they don't want you to have the experience with multiple men in order to get to that, right? It's like, okay, I want you to have learned the tricks of the trade, but not through a whole bunch of teachers, you know? And so I think
that's unfair.
It is unfair, and it's very much a double standard because, like I said, some men will look at it whereas it's like, okay, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, but then it's like, oh, well, you can't have that high body count, right? Yeah. But either way that you look at it, I feel like even a woman will look at that in a sense. And it may be, like you said, I'm not speaking for every woman, but I don't want to know that, okay, just because my man can do A, B, C, and D in the bedroom, that he had to go through a whole flock of women to learn how to do that. Right. Like, I feel like I said, it goes back to the standards that you have as an individual. Like, what standards are we instilling in ourselves before we worried about, oh, what that person is doing and what this person doing? And to me, I don't know if he has children. If he does, I hope he don't have a daughter, because do you really sit down and instill in your child and raise them up to be like, you know what, it don't matter who you sleep with, go ahead and sleep with whoever. Yeah. Somebody out there is gonna, accept it. The right man that's not shopping at the other places where the other men is shopping at or landing where the other men is shopping at, he gonna choose you. Yeah. Like, the odds of that are very slim. So you're setting your child up, you're setting yourself up to just be looking like, what? It's ridiculous to me. And I think that's the problem with social media now. I keep saying this. I don't know how many times I have said it on this on the podcast, but it allows people to have platforms to say stuff that makes no sense, right? Yeah. And I'm all for, everyone has their own thoughts, their own opinions. Everybody's not going to agree with things that I say. Everybody's not going to agree with things that you say. Everybody's not going to agree with things that a lot of people say. But when you push a narrative that it doesn't make any sense, and it damages people more than it helps them, that's where I feel like it's a problem. And
it's definitely damaging. And
yeah,
that's what I had lost my train of thought earlier, but that's what I was saying. Because again, you hear a lot now with this feminist movement that is my body, my choice. Don't tell me what to do with my body. You see a lot of women say that, and no man is telling you what to do with your body. Mm-hmm. It's your body. Do what you please. Just like it's my resources and my time, and I can do what I please with that. Mm-hmm. There are consequences to all of our decisions. You can live freely. You can have as many sexual partners as you want, but there are consequences to those decisions. And you have to make a decision on whether you're willing to live with those consequences. Mm-hmm. You keep trying to change the world, telling men, oh, you shouldn't care about it. It's not going to happen. I can promise you it's not going to change. And I personally feel like for men, a lot of us, we understand the consequences of our behavior. Yeah. We accept that. We fat, out of shape, most women are not going to want us. We broke, we ain't got no money, we don't have a shot at certain women. Mm-hmm. We understand that. We not online complaining saying, hey, I'm fat and the women that I saw in the magazine don't want me. Mm-hmm. Or I ain't got no money, I'm struggling right now, and these women don't. We understand that. We not about to get online and complain about what y'all don't want, because we understand the consequences of our actions. I feel like a lot of women struggle with accepting the consequences of their actions.
Yeah.
Do what you want, but accept what comes with it, and don't complain about it. Mm-hmm. Men are not telling you don't have a bunch of sexual partners. They're saying, if you want to be my wife, I don't want you to have a bunch of sexual partners.
Right.
But that's up to you. If you don't want to be a wife, you don't want to be my wife, then do as you please. But the majority of men are saying, hey, I don't want that in a wife. Do what you want, but that's not what I'm searching for when I'm looking for somebody to create a family with and build with.
Right.
But a lot of women don't want to hear that. They don't want to accept the consequences. And then you have dudes like this lying to you, giving you a fantasy world that I promise you, it don't exist. It never will.
I'm going to get back to the message because I want to answer her question, because I feel like we definitely talking about something. But I feel like that goes to taking accountability for your actions, right? Where you say women don't want to, accept certain things. When you take accountability for your own actions, it's a lot more. The world is just a better place, okay? Let's just be honest, because you're not putting so much of pressure on other people when you know internally it's you, right? And it just triggered me when you said that, because I was watching something on social media and it was an influencer. And she was talking about how she's a pretty woman, but she wasn't in shape and she wasn't like keeping up with herself in a certain manner, right? And she wanted to get to a certain level that she saw other influencers that she was around or that she knew, but she knew that she was holding herself back, right? And I think a lot of times we try to place the blame on other people or say, you know what, I can be like this. This is fine. Why can't they accept me like this? Yeah. And it's like, no, if you see all of this is happening around there, whether it be right or wrong, and that's what she said, whether it's right or wrong, that, oh, this person has to look like this or has to go through this to excel. If you see that and you know that you're not getting to this point, then why not create that change so that you can get to the point that you want to? Otherwise, you're just sulking in the same position that you're in. Nothing is changing, and you placing the blame on everybody else instead of just taking accountability. Right. Like most times in the world, people are not going to change for you. People are not going to conform for you. So if you want that change for yourself, you're going to have to do things and you're going to have to change. You don't have to change for the negative, but when it comes to certain things, it's about you changing for the positive. So if it is, oh, I want to have a husband or I want to have someone that's taking me serious, if, like you said, most men are saying, I don't want a woman who slept with a whole bunch of men, well, guess what?
Stop.
That's their choice. I feel like people have choices, and that's the problem. People don't want to accept people having choices. They want to just push their narrative and their beliefs on what should be onto everybody. And if your choice is that you don't want nobody to tell you how many people to sleep with, then go find him. Because he just told y'all that's what he's willing to accept. Go find people like him. It's probably a slim pickings, but go find that person. Don't try to push the narrative and the belief onto other individuals. And it goes for both male and female. And I think that's what really needs to change. Like, people need to really be open to taking accountability for their actions and the consequences of their actions. And if you want something different, then you gotta change. Like, you gotta change it up. But getting back to
hold on, I just want to say one more thing on that. Because another thing my man said is the dudes I hang around, the dudes who really getting it, don't be talking about, oh, I slept with her. You lying, bruh. Oh my goodness, you lying. I feel like when it comes to that, men pillow talk more than women. That's one thing I'll be honest with. If you think that your relationship or what you doing with a dude is secret, you fooling yourself. You've been in this group chat.
Oh no.
They've been talking about you. I've been in, bro, listen to me. I've been at the top of my game for a long time. We know. Men definitely talk about it. So if you think that you doing your thing and people don't really know that you out here doing your we know. That's what makes me question a lot of times what these dudes be saying, because it be a lot of men that I be seeing online now that be flexing, talking about how much money they got, and they be saying certain things and it just be like, yo, what are you around, like a completely different type of men who like getting this type of money and just like are completely different than the average person? I've been around dudes, I've been getting it for over a decade, bro, and I don't know what you talking about.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about right now.
Certain people have certain friend groups and maybe that's what they're into, but that is not the majority. So
just look at how many women out there who are decent looking women, right? On social media. And they still single. And they want to be married, but they're still single because of what people know about them. The life that they live. If you ever want to know if something is true, look around. All you got to do is look around. Don't just find that one person and be like, well, she used to be like this and look at her. She's happily married with 10 beautiful kids and they're living happily ever after. Don't pick one thing and say, oh, because this person did it, we all can have this. Look at the majority.
Yeah.
Look at the majority. Women on social media, since social media has such an influence on people's lives now, the women who are at the club all the time was, doing whatever they was doing in their past life. I don't know what they're doing right now. Look at the life they have. Most of them are not married. They got kids. They ain't married. So don't listen to people who are just pandering to you, telling you anything that you want to hear. The proof is out there. You just got to go search for it. I digress.
But getting back to answering her question, I feel like she said, well, we kind of tied or tackled the part where it's like, do men care? Will your partner care? We said some people will care, some people won't care.
Almost all. 1%
It just depends on the person. But with that being said, she said, should that be weight carried on your partner's shoulder or brought up anytime during an argument? Now, this I feel like is a problem. Because one, if you choose to be with someone, okay, like the guy said, you choose to be with someone that has multiple people that they slept with and you really feel some type of way about it, or you don't, or you say you don't, but you bring it up when you're in an argument like, oh, I don't know, from the message it seems like, oh, you HOE, you ain't this, you slept with that, this, that, and the third, and you're bringing up their past to attack them in an argument. That's a problem because you chose to be with that person knowing their past or knowing however many people they were involved with sexually. So don't bring it up every chance you get to attack them. Right. That's an issue. So if that's the case, no, that's not cool. Like, you shouldn't be using something that that person told you or you know about them as a weapon against them.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. But I think that just, it goes back to who we are innately. Like, even if we try to be like, I really love this woman. I really care about her. I can't get past the fact that she has this history. And I agree. If you knew that you had a problem with it, you should have been honest with it and just decided to part ways or not get into a serious committed relationship, because you can't just throw that in her face every time you get uncomfortable. But what you have to understand is, and this is being real, when it comes to men, most men are insecure about their money and they're insecure about their manhood. That's why you will see men inflate the amount of money they make because it makes them feel more of a man, or they inflate the amount of women that they've been with because it makes them feel more of a man. And they're insecure when it comes to the woman. So if they feel like, oh, all these people know what it's like to be with my woman, that's an internal struggle that a man is really going to go through.
Yeah.
Because they're going to think that other men are looking at them crazy.
Yeah.
So that's why he keeps, it's not that he doesn't want to be with you. It's not that he don't love you. He's internally struggling with the fact that he knows that a bunch of men, I don't even say a bunch because I don't really know his situation, but he's insecure that other men have had a part of you that he wants to himself.
Yeah. So do you think that that is a conversation that should even be brought up, like as far as the exact number count? Because if a man is
you're never
going
to know the truth. The woman going to change it. You ain't never going to know the actual amount of sexual partners that somebody had. But just think about, most people are meeting people in the town that they're in. There's word on the street.
Yeah.
People talk. People look at you different.
Right.
So even if you trying to lie, like I said, I don't know what dude talking about, because people talk about the people that they've had sex with.
Right.
That just go down. You see somebody out with a girl like, yo, look at him all hugged up with her and kissing. I just, you know what I mean? I just did this with her not too long ago. I had her doing all this. Like, those conversations happen. He can lie to you.
For women and men.
Yeah, like those conversations happen. He can lie to you all you want to. So if he constantly hearing things about you, that's a real struggle that he is going through. And I promise you, it ain't something that he's ever going to get over.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that that's something. But I think that sexual history should be discussed in a relationship. That stuff is very important, especially if y'all are having intercourse and stuff, because that can transmit a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
So I think that conversation should happen. I don't know if how many, you know what I mean? How many
like, let's go down the history. What's their names?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how that conversation goes, but sexual history is something that should definitely be discussed, or somebody's opinion on sex. Do they look at it as fun? Do they look at it as a spiritual connection? Do they look at it as an expression of love or procreation? Like, what is your thoughts about it? I think that as you have those conversations, you can't fake it. When you really having genuine, deep conversations, somebody can't fake the conversation. So you will be able to tell what type of person they are, the perspective that they have, or the values they hold by the in-depth conversations. But people are not having those in-depth conversations, and they're finding themselves in some situations that's kind of hard to get themselves out of. But I think it first starts with just being honest. Stop lying to people. Not lying about your body count, but men who care about your sexual history, tell the truth.
Yeah.
Don't be like, oh no, there's something I can work through, knowing darn well you can't work through it.
I think, not for nothing, if you're going to have the conversation, like you said, I think it should be definitely for the fact of the sexual history for your health, the main thing. Because it was just something that was on social media about, I believe it was, what was it? Syphilis?
Oh, in Houston? It's like up 120%.
And it's just like, Houston, you have to, for that fact, I feel like just being able to discuss the history, whether it be like, oh, like you said, not giving down a whole list of people and like when, dates, times, and all of that, but just having that open conversation. Because a lot of times, which we talked about as well on the podcast, we don't go into a relationship with people and be like, oh, when was the last time that you got tested? How often do you get tested? Did you get tested after your partner before you know? We don't ask those intentional questions, right? So you're sleeping essentially with all the plethora of people that person is sleeping with. And if you don't know if they're taking care of their body or if they're up on their health, that's going to affect you in the long run. So if not for nothing, having that conversation is to protect you from anything that you can be in contact with health-wise. I think that's why it should be so important.
Man, and just not even like the physical. For me, it's not even the physical. A lot has to do with the psychological, the mental. Because your body keeps score. Whether people want to understand that or not, you can act like it's really nothing to you. You can have, brought yourself to a place where mentally you don't even think about that stuff. You're so detached. You have turned off your emotions where you feel like it's not having an impact on you, but your body keeps score of every single thing that happens to you. Every stressor, every trauma, all the interactions that you had, the sexual partners that you had, your body keeps score of all of that. And eventually that's going to manifest. It's going to come out. It's going to show the impact that it's had on you. It may not do it right now. Like we talked about the beach ball, you pushing underwater. It may not show right now. You may think that it does not impact you. You may think that you just out here having sex, having fun, you having a good time, that nothing's happening. And then one day it completely changes. Whether it's you go get tested one day and a sexual partner you had, I don't know how long ago, and gave you an STI or something that just showed up. Or there's certain shifts that happen to you emotionally where now you're in a marriage, you married. Let's just say that you part of that small amount of women who, lived that type of life and ended up getting married. And then you can't even connect with your partner emotionally or physically the way that you want to because you have turned it off so much in the past just to have fun that emotional connection is completely gone from the intercourse that you're having with your partner. So you can think that this does not have an impact on you. You can think that your sexual partners don't matter, but it does.
Yeah.
And you don't want that impact to show up at the wrong time when you're really trying to build something with somebody, when you really have the answer for the things that you've done in your past with your children. Like me and you just recently saw a video the other day about a influencer who started her OnlyFans and it got leaked to Google and all this other stuff. And she was crying about what happens when her kids get older and they see it. Like these are real consequences that y'all not out here thinking about. And then when you become a mom, when you become a wife, when your child has to go to school, they have to be amongst their peers and amongst their friends. And they're like, oh, look at your mom. And I don't mean to just single out the women right now because men also, they need to be mindful of the things that they're doing right now because that's going to have an impact on your sons. Absolutely. Whether they think that having sex is just a game and then they're having kids when they're teenagers, they
on
can't
your
really
daughters as well.
Yeah. Yeah, both. They're having kids when they're teenagers. They can't really live out their purpose all because the values that you instilled in them, the life that you lived, the stories that they heard about you. So then when you're trying to give them game when they get older, they don't even want to listen to you because they know the type of lifestyle that you lived.
Yeah.
Like this narrative and thing that's being pushed right now in the world is leading a lot of people astray. I promise you, the whole having a competition with your woman, putting men and women up against each other, that y'all going at it. Most of these podcasts, most of the videos that go viral is about women putting men down or men putting women down. People taking God out of everything that they're doing right now, treating sex like it's a game, like this.
Putting Satan on a pedestal.
Yeah, like the way that this world is going is absolutely crazy. That we got to do something to make this shift because, like I said, a lot of people are going to be led astray.
Yeah. So with that said, you guys, we're going to conclude this episode. We hope that you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot to unpack. It's been a lot to unpack. But like I said, I feel like if nothing from this, just be mindful of what you consume on social media. Be mindful of what you consume in general from outside sources. Be intentional with yourself and what you're instilling in yourself. Like we said, with what we do with our children, we are monitoring what we let them see, what they're exposed to. We can only do so much, but we try to make sure that we are mindful of what's being fed to them, what they're watching, what they're listening to, because all of that plays a part. So when you're on social media and you're listening to these videos, these memes, you're on YouTube, whatever you're on, and you're watching certain people and you're listening to stuff, that's affecting you, whether you realize it or not. It's affecting your mental, it's affecting your spiritual. So just be mindful of that, okay?
Self-reflection.
Yes, absolutely.
So critical to life. Whether you're a man feeling like you got to dominate at home, doing some self-reflection, seeing where you're lacking in certain areas of your life so that you can work on those areas so that you can have positive relationships is so important. For women as well, even when it comes to sex or dating and relationships, a lot of times it's easier to point the finger at the next person about what they should be doing or what they should accept, that we're not really doing that deep reflective work to see what we need to change about ourselves. So it's a process. It's a tough process to go through. I know us going through it wasn't an easy one, but there was so much growth on the other end of it that it was worth going through that process and really unpacking things, so that we just hope that you get to a point where you're there, man, and that you have the discernment of what type of information to listen to and what to just discard, because it's a lot of information out here on social media, on the internet, but there's a lack of wisdom.
Yes.
And it's completely showing. It's programming people the wrong way.
Yeah. So we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And until next time, you guys, keep it real.
Yes, sir.